All right, so you might be wondering, how do I attract the right woman when it comes to not playing games and dating, different things like that? Well, I've been married for almost 2 years. I definitely have had a lot of experience with a lot of different dating situations, and I wanted to just do a deep dive into, from my experience. I have found my soulmate. I'm really lucky. I'm married to the woman of my dreams, and I wanted to talk about how I came to that, how I connected with my wife, and really how I remove myself from playing games, which I feel like sometimes when I talk to a lot of my single guy friends, that's a big issue that guys are running into is, hey, I'm serious. I want to find someone. I want to, be committed into a relationship that's going to last into ideally marriage, right? That's what you're looking for. You're looking to start a family, which is really awesome because, before it was kind of like, oh yeah, guys just want to play around. But I feel like now guys are really starting to become serious. So men, if you're out there and you're looking to find a woman, here are some of the ways that I did it. And really, this is probably something that's counterintuitive, but it's having fun in singleness. So before I met my wife at the time, girlfriend, right? I decided that I'm just going to have fun and be single and just really enjoy my life. And so, I did that by traveling. One of my buddies and I, we started a travel YouTube channel and we just went and we traveled all over the States, which was really fun. We had just had so much fun together. We went to like 13 states within like a 2 month period. It was just super awesome. And I was really diving into my career. I was really getting focused on growing my overall income. So I was trying to build all the necessary steps to where when that woman or when that girl does come into my life, I'm ready to take advantage of it. And I think that's really a great piece for a lot of guys out there. If you are single, number one, become the best man that you can be, right? Women can kind of, and it's really interesting, they can kind of tell if this man, if you or me or whoever, if we are a qualified man is kind of the best way I would describe it. So that's a man who has his finances under control, is, seemingly very confident in his point of life, might even just seem overall like really happy, just enjoying himself, right? And so that to me was really important is, hey, I'm just going to become really happy with where I am in this process and not rush it. I was at the time before dating my now wife, I was, upper 20s. So I was 27, 28 or 27, excuse me. I was 27 when we ended up started dating. So, I was starting to get up there, right? Up there in age, but it doesn't really matter when you find your person. It just matters that you find them, right? And so for me, the biggest thing I would recommend, and this is point number one, is get content with where you are in your singleness, right? I think girls can definitely tell if you are a little bit desperate, and that's just not a good look if you're trying to come into a relationship and you're really trying to show that you're in it for the long haul. But you're desperate, right? You want to be really happy. You want to be really solidified in, hey, this is where I am. I love my life. I love my career. Maybe that's a good thing to double down on is really get invested in your career. Obviously, women want security. They want a guy who is not maybe, working at McDonald's or working at their first job that they've ever had versus, being solidified in a career. So those things. And then also, like I said, just being overall confident in where you are in your life trajectory and not being like, oh, well, I'm really waiting for this woman that I can find, right? I'm really looking for that. It's like, no, like I'm really happy. Like I'm just good with where I am. That is a very, very, very powerful thing that you can then portray when that woman does come into your life, you're ready to go. Okay, so now that you are classified in the I'm happy in my singleness, what do you do after that, right? Because we're trying to attract and obtain the ideal woman, right? So for me, what I did was this goes into you find this person. Now, for me and my wife, speaking into my specific story, we actually connected online. We had been friends a long time ago, and then we reconnected online. So that's a powerful tool. If you are, in your friend group and you know of this girl that you might have known in high school or even in college, but you didn't necessarily connect as much as you'd like, shoot your shot, right? Send an Instagram DM. That's what I did with my now wife. I sent her a DM. I said, hey, like, we should, why haven't we talked? And just be very confident, be very hey, I am an established man. I'm doing all the right things. I've got my life in order. So let's bring someone into that conversation. Obviously, when it comes to dating, I really don't recommend dating apps, just because to me, I think that dating apps a lot of times they're not the most qualified if you want to talk about like a leads perspective, right? I'm in sales, so that's where my mind goes is qualified leads versus just leads, right? And it's all on a scale. So you go from cold leads all the way to super warm leads. Well, people that you know or have encountered in your life, those are going to be more qualified, more warmer leads when it comes to dating and relationships because they know you, at least in some capacity, right? Or they know friends of yours that can vouch for you, right? I actually, with my now wife, she reached out to a couple of our mutual friends to say, hey, like, what's the deal with this guy, right? Like, is he actually like who he says he is, right? I'm talking to him. We're kind of in the talking stage. He seems like he's checking off all the boxes, but like I want to get your perspective on it, right? So that's a really awesome thing is to look within your circle, right? Your area of friends and say, okay, who are the girls that I might be interested in, or just, follow up with them, right? And it doesn't have to be, right, what I talked about earlier. We don't want to be desperate. We don't want to be giving off this vibe of, oh, hey, I'd love to go on a date with you. It's like, hey, like, we haven't talked since high school. Like, how are you? Like, how's your life? I was looking at your profile. It seems like you're doing a lot of fun travel or whatever. I've been doing a lot of travel too, right? Starting conversation from the mindset of, hey, I'm a valuable member of society, but also I'm valuable for any girl that's somewhat interested in me, right? That's a very strong point. But then also to find the right girl that's not going to play games. This is what I did with my at the time girlfriend, now wife, is, and I just probably need to stop caveating all that. But just to say, what I did was I said, hey, if we're going to talk in the talking stage, right, or if we're going to develop some sort of something, here's where I want it to go. So I casted very strong vision for where I saw the relationship. In my mind, at the time was 26, almost 27. I want to be married. That's where me personally, I see myself in the immediate future. So I'm going to tell all potential candidates that this is where I'm going. If you would like to participate in that or get on the train, get on the train. If not, then we can just end it and just be friends or whatever that looks like. And, for guys, I know, at least for me personally, I don't really have a lot of girlfriends or girls that are just friends of mine. So, that can be a very easy segue of like, hey, like that's probably not going to work out. Let's just be friends. And then you can kind of just trail off or whatever, right? It doesn't have to be as like cumbersome or as awkward of a situation. It's very easy to just let them down and just like, hey, I'm not really interested. And, who knows, maybe they think that that's like, oh, I want that, right? Because that's kind of like a thing that some girls are like, oh, I can't, what I don't have, that's what I want. So, take that for what it's worth. I don't really know because that kind of seems a little bit like you're playing games. The woman's playing games a little bit, but maybe not. Who knows? So for me, though, what I did, and this is number two, is cast vision. So when you find any sort of a possible candidate, whether it's through friend groups, like I said, even I've had friends of mine offer, oh hey, I'd love to set you up with someone, right? Like those sorts of opportunities where it's more you have some sort of a point of entry versus a dating app. I honestly even think just like when you're out and about with your friends, with your guy friends or whatever, like go up and talk to a girl. Like what's the problem, right? Especially if you're in certain circles. Like for me, my guys, we would all go to church all the time. We'd all hang out together. So we would just, talk to whoever, right? Like we would just go and talk to people. And so, depending on your common interests, right? Like pickleball is really big right now. My wife and I go play pickleball. That would be a great spot if you love sports. And there's probably girls that are there too that love sports. And it's a great connection of just like, oh, hey, we're having fun with our friends. You're having fun with yours. Like, let's do something together. Like, hey, do you want to share a court or do you want to play or do you want to get a drink after or, whatever that looks like, right? It becomes very organic as you're incorporating it into what you naturally do. Now, if you're a super heavy introvert, you're inside your office like I am in our guest room working all day, you unfortunately have to put yourself out there. But don't just rely on yourselves, right? Some of my friends are more introverted. I am obviously very extroverted. So I'm fine talking to girls, bringing their group in, And then you, as the more introverted guy, can just have a unique and specific conversation, right? You have to play to your strengths and then also help lift up your weaknesses. So if you really are a little bit weaker on the side of, that social in engagement, right? You're a little bit more concerned on the social interaction part, then lean on your friends, right? You have to have some sort of friend that's extroverted. And if not, you need to go and find that, because that's really a strong way to get involved in that section. But once you get past that talking phase, getting back to my point number 2, you need to cast vision. As a guy, that's the one thing that I know is my now wife. She really respected about me that I was casting vision from the get-go. Within the first couple dates, I told her, hey, if we're going to continue this, this is where I want it to go. And then I put the onus on her. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts about that? Is that something that you are okay with? And she was like, yeah, like that's what I want. I want to have a relationship that leads to marriage. So I found a really, really qualified woman that is not playing games, that is right where I was, right? She was, unfortunately, she was on the side of, she was a little bit more sadder, which I feel like most girls probably get into that, where they're a little bit more upset in their singleness. They're like, oh, all my friends are, married, starting to have kids. I feel left out in the process, right? But you don't want to play on those emotions. You want to say, well, hey, we still need to develop this relationship. And this is where I see it, right? You want to reaffirm the vision that you are casting as a man, because women, at least most of them, and this is what I would probably caveat as the right woman that's not trying to play games, they want to be led from the man's perspective. Now, not in some sort of a dictatorship, because we don't want to say, oh, this is the plan, be very forceful about it, right? And obviously that's why you want to have those conversations pretty early on, because you want to respect every single woman that you encounter, right? I want to respect every single girl that I, speak with, because men are more of an authoritative figure in general over women. So you want to know that in your mind and cast a very strong vision of, hey, this is where I want to go. This is where I want our relationship to live. So that is point number 2. You've got to, when you find a girl that you are interested in, that you're having great conversations with, you're in the talking stage, you want to cast a clear vision, cast a clear vision of where you want to go, where you see this relationship going, and make sure that you guys are aligned. Alignment in relationships is very, very important. So I wanted to circle back to when you're in the talking stage, because I think that that's really where the rubber meets the road. And when it comes to you're in the talking phase and you're trying to find the right woman, I would really focus on the points that you are trying to go out and find women, right? So you need to figure out, number 1, what is your specific interests when it comes to where you're seeing yourself, right? So I use the example of pickleball. My wife and I play pickleball a lot, not so much now that my wife is pregnant, but before that, we were playing pickleball a lot. And I know that a lot of my friends, they play pickleball too. So if I were still single, I would say, hey, let's go every Thursday night. Let's make it a part of our schedule and let's go and have fun together and just play, right? You're going to have guys that are in relationships. For me, right, I'm married, but I would still go out and hang out with my guy friends and go and play a sport, right? That would be really fun for me. So that's a great opportunity. If you're like, hey, these are the types of girls that I want to attract, then you need to go and figure out where those girls are, right? For me, Christianity is a very, very important piece of my life, right? So I'm not going to go and go out at a bar at 11:30 p.m. and think that that's going to be the right woman for me, right? If those girls are out there, maybe they are, just having a good time, but if you're talking to girls that are, more on the drunk side all the time, just more of those party girls, they might be fun for, a few months stint, but when it comes to the longevity of a relationship and for, me, I'm looking for, like I said before, I'm looking for marriage, right? I'm looking for that longer horizon. So that's just probably not going to be the best person. Now, there are diamonds in the rough, but using the example of, hey, you're searching for, how do I find the right woman that's not trying to play games? You want to figure out, where are they at? Where are they hanging out? And how do I take advantage of that? Now, I know even here in Atlanta, there's a lot of like fun single events that people are doing, right? A big one that I've seen a lot on TikTok recently is like they have like these running groups, right? So a lot of this, you are going to have to get yourself out there. So for all my guys who are introverted, let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video on how to really put yourself out there in a way that doesn't make yourself intimidated, or really how to break down some of those barriers. Now, for me personally, I'm not going to be necessarily the best candidate to help you with that, just because I am very, extroverted, right? This is my first ever YouTube video, but I've been doing YouTube for a long time. I go out and talk to people. Like, that's just who I am. That's how I've always been. But I understand that that's not going to be for every single person. So, but there are avenues in which you, even as an introvert, can go. So let's say you like reading books, right? As an example. Well, first thing that comes to mind is there's a Barnes and Noble that's 10 minutes away from me. I would go after work and just sit in a Barnes and Noble and read, right? And then every once in a while, just look up, see if there's a single girl that's in, a certain section of books, and walk over and just say, hey, like, how are you? Are you looking for a book? I come here all the time, and maybe just be like a helping person, right? Like, not necessarily that you work there, but it's like, hey, like, what is it that you're looking for? Like, what books do you like? I was actually reading this book, right? You have to, even if you're an introvert, be willing to put yourself out there. A lot of times when I talk to some of my friends that are more introverted, it's the first step that's really hard for them. Once they do that a few times, they become more comfortable. So my recommendation is, if you're an introverted man who's really wanting to find the right person, but you're just struggling to get the right steps in place, number one, you want to identify, okay, what is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that I can have a conversation about, even if it is going to be a little bit awkward, right? What is it that I know about? So for me, just using it as an example, I like sports. I know a little bit about sports. I love working out. I love investments. So those are things that I would then figure out, okay, how do I find women that I can just put myself in a very seamless conversation, right? Girls, if they are in a place where they're looking for a man, they're going to respect you coming up to them and starting a conversation. And as long as you are not creepy or coming off as stalkerish, you will probably 9 out of 10 times have a good conversation with a beautiful girl or a girl that you're interested in, right? So you've got to find your interests, and then you've got to put yourself in those positions on a weekly basis. So using the example of, if you're more introverted, you like reading books, go to a book stop, go to a coffee shop, go to a Barnes and Noble, right? Go to a Starbucks. Put yourself in a situation every single week where you are going outside of your comfort zone, and then you need to think about conversations that are very natural. If you have a book in your hand, oh, hey, how are you? I saw that you're reading a book. I'm also reading a book about this. What's your book about? Right? That's a great question to ask. It doesn't seem like you're kind of stalking them, right? And if they're not interested, you'll know really quickly, and you could just say, oh, okay, well, great. Well, I'm glad. My name is Danny. Really nice to meet you. If I see you around again, I'll say hi, right? That's it. That can be the first interaction, and it's very, very simple, very easy. You're not asking for a phone number. You're just, oh, hey, if I see you around again, I'll say hi, right? But if the conversation does go well, you need to have a very clear call to action, right? So obviously the next step would be like, hey, you seem like a really awesome girl. We're having a great conversation. I'd love to, set up a time to do that more, like maybe go on a date. Do you have availability over the next week or two to do something like that? I'd love to grab your number. That's very simple, very easy, right? You want to go on a date with them, so that's the call to action, and then grab their number, but then also put a time in place, right? Are you available over the next week? Maybe over the next couple days, right? If you're really sensing that this interaction is going well. And now I know for my introverted guys, that's a very hard situation to navigate, because you're feeling awkward, you're feeling uncomfortable, you're not feeling the most energy towards it, right? Introverts, they need to kind of decompress. They don't like being a part of those, face-to-face encounters, those conversations. So, but you need to put yourself out there. So again, these are just some simple steps that you can do to, day one, start to attract the right woman that's there for you. You really got to figure out, number one, where am I passionate about? And then number two, you've got to go in and say, this is exactly what I want, right? You've got to really cast the vision of where you want the relationship to be. And then three, this is like the last thing that I would say is then follow through, right? Be the man that follows through on the things that you say. It's a very simple process. You find a girl that has similar interests to you. You cast the vision after you're through the talking stage of, hey, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. Do you want to be my girlfriend and pursue this long-term relationship? If they say yes, okay, well then do it. Go in all the way and don't hold back, right? Open yourself up to your girl, right? Be fully vulnerable, fully out there, and do the things that you say you're gonna do, right? If you are going to cast vision of, hey, this is where I want to be, I want us to be married, well, then you need to develop those deeper connections with this girl, right? The girl is then saying, okay, wow, like I found a man that really wants me, that wants me forever, basically, right? Because that's what marriage is. That's a covenant forever, right? You're committed through sickness and health. Like that's a big deal. So then do it. Do what you say and hold on to it. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. This is my first ever YouTube video. I'm kind of still figuring stuff out. It's a new camera, new mic setup, but I really want to encourage you guys, get out there. Try to find those just natural, easy conversations, because that to me is the best on-ramp to then you need some sort of case studies, right? You need to look at it and say, okay, what worked in this conversation? What definitely did not work in this conversation? And start to refine what it is that you're looking for. So again, I really hope this video is helpful. I don't have any other videos to point to, but maybe there's going to be a video right there. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm just starting this YouTube channel, but feel free to give me a like, subscribe, drop some comments down below if you have some specific questions. You know, the things I'm going to be talking about on this channel are going to be relationships. Also, I love investments, so talk about that. Talk about marriage. That's a really good one that I want to be discussing a little bit more, but I would love to hear from you guys on questions that you have, and I can go a little bit more in depth either in the comments or obviously in a full dedicated video. So again, you can, check out a video right here, or you can subscribe. I think maybe I'll put a little subscription right there. And anyways, I hope this video was really helpful for you guys. And yeah, have a great day with all of your relationships. I hope it goes well. Keep me in the loop, guys.